Okay, this is going to be a second part of this, and if anything, I guess this will actually allow people to comment more on it, on what I'm doing. And that is that it's this next one in terms of a commentary on the articles of our Voice Party is a matter of kind of the force behind the overall idea, which is a constitutional amendment to change it to a more fair way to vote. Libertarians, I know they typically love the concept of multiple perspectives. At times, progressives do as well, but frankly, I've never seen, as I have with libertarians, a self-described progressive describing two diametrically opposite positions within an hour with just as much passion. So in that regard, I'm going to say that, at least in my experience, the people who identify as libertarians love debating more, and therefore they'd be more apt, as would independents, which I consider myself already independent, would be more apt to love the concept of first ranking your choices and then having it go to, if there are too many votes for one party, to having it switched, and again to the concept of all those other ways to get it more equalized in terms of truer representation. The sixth one is the concept of American jobs. This is something that I've actually seen both, maybe a little bit more in the extreme end, the concept of libertarians fighting against it, but I've definitely seen actually I've also seen a hefty number of socialists being just as angry. And in that regard, libertarians and socialists do overlap. And that's the concept of stopping overseas tax shelters. No one wants jobs to go overseas that really don't belong there. Libertarians, they love the concept of true free market, but most acknowledge that that isn't the case, and that's why I actually had a buddy who just contacted me, an older friend of mine, and telling me that, he was understandably ticked as hell, and this is one of the reasons that I don't like the current person that calls themselves a libertarian, because it's not libertarian to me. The concept of a trade deal done in secret, which is to say the TPP. The one thing that I like and that I really actually love is the concept of libertarians is, no matter how filthy it looks, you bring it out into the open and you're transparent about it. If that means someone wants to kill you because you believe what you believe, you face it, you tell them, and you move on. Then there's and again, and if you feel you're right, you go for it, and if you make a fool of yourself or whatever else, you do it. And that's why most of them, and they're horrified by the concept of you don't pay your fair share. And indeed, foreign tax havens, it's considered the worst of all worlds, because they're taking, in libertarian stance, it's a matter of you're taking it out of where it belongs. Not only are you taking it out of the direct hands, but you're also taking it out and you're claiming that you're overseas. And so it's to them, it's insense. It's absolutely an absurdity. To Democrats, real progressives, they hate it because their attitude is, hey, I want it for more social programs. But the libertarians are just like, no, we just want it in our pockets. And either way, at the end of the day, these tax shelters, overseas tax shelters, need to be eliminated. Again, socialists want it uniformly distributed, again, for the greater good. But again, no matter which way, again, you put the perspective in, it's the same consequence. You get rid of all of the overseas tax shelters. Education before profits, Article 7. Now, this is actually an interesting one because this is not one that I'm so certain that libertarians would directly support, but their attitude, it remains, is that currently we don't have a free market educational system, and therefore you need to fix it to make sure that it's morally correct in some manner. I think a lot of them would prefer that you completely remove the government from it and make schools compete for the lowest amount of money that you can get, and then take out all of the gen ed so that you could get out of school, general education requirements, so you could get out of school quicker and do it that way. But all in all, it would be a matter of the libertarians would, in their policy proposals, they would reduce it to the point, in terms of college costs, they would find ways via absolute free markets to make it cost equivalent, of a rate that would be affordable to even someone like me, and who I live at under a third of the poverty line, under a third of the federal poverty line. So they would, in terms of they're definitely proponents of the concept of sliding scale as well, because again, or a job that would sponsor me to get my education. Okay. Equity for women. This is something that there are some libertarians who would say, oh, this is redundant, and then there are some that would be like, we really screwed up, we gotta figure a way to make this happen. The progressives and the socialists, they would definitely say, let's push on, should be the first issue. And again, the libertarians, in terms of the quote-unquote bedroom issues, they would say, it's none of your business. It's none of the government's business. The government shouldn't be issuing marriage licenses at all. It shouldn't be involved whatsoever. And that any property or any other benefit should be handled through private contract law. And therefore, marriage, abortion, whatever, it shouldn't have anything to do with the government whatsoever. So in that regard, they would both push for equality for women, just in very much different ways.